It's Dan Friedman. Upload a video because my connection's not the strongest for some reason right here. But anyways, we're gonna do a debate. Who is the better quarterback, Philip Rivers or Derek Carr? Now you gotta understand, Philip Rivers has been in the league for 14 seasons, but he only played 12 full seasons because he learned under Drew Brees. Derek Carr has only been in the league for 4 seasons, folks. So I'm not gonna compare Rivers' 12 seasons to Carr's 4 seasons. Doesn't make sense. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to debate. We're going to see who the better quarterback is, Rivers versus Carr. Basically, we'll go by their best season against their best season, but also we're going to start by going their first 4 seasons versus the first 4 seasons, and I think from there we can get our facts, our information. But to compare Rivers' 12 seasons by Carr's 4 seasons, you can't really make a judgment on who's better because Carr hasn't played the same amount of years as Rivers. If he did, then we'd probably have a lot better, easier comparison to really see who's better. But we really can only judge by their first full seasons together. So we'll see what happens. Rivers' first season was in 2006. Which he did make the playoffs that year. That's why also he started out with a better cast. He had like LT, he had Gates, or Carr only had like we did have Darren McFadden, who I like a lot. James Jones was the best receiver, but he was on his downside of his career, so he didn't have that great of a supporting cast like Rivers did. So just a point I want to make. But 2006, Rivers threw 284 completions out of 460 attempts. So his completion percentage was 61.7. Pretty good. He threw for 3,388 yards, and he threw 22 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions. We'll go to Derek Carr, shall we? With a less supported cast, Carr completed 348 completions out of 49 attempts, I believe. He averaged, so his completion percentage was only a 58. So Rivers had a better completion percentage by a couple points. Carr threw for 3,270 yards. So again, Rivers had him beat. Rivers basically had him beat by a little over 1,000 yards there. Carr had 21 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions. Where Rivers had 22 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he had 1 more touchdown and just a couple interceptions less. So I would say in the first year, Philip Rivers was better than Derek Carr. Now let's go to either year 2, because usually that's when you make your highest jump. But Rivers was just a little better. But then again, was he really a little better than Carr? He did have a better supporting cast. Again, what did Carr really have? He didn't have that great of a line. I mean, who was his coach? Dennis Allen? What did Rivers have? Did he have Marty Schottenheimer or Norv Turner? It was one of the two. So really, I mean, come on. Rivers had a better coach. He had a better supporting cast than Derek Carr. I'll make that argument, Charger fans. I'll make that argument, NFL fans out there. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, if they had both had just really good supporting casts, it'd probably a lot easier to see, But Rivers had a little bit better numbers. And you know what? I'm going to make that pitch. He had a little better numbers, I believe, because of the supporting cast. Again, you're going to have to be the judge yourself, but we'll just say, first right now, Rivers was just an inch better than Derek Carr. Like, just a little tad bit. So let's go to the second season. Like I said, that's when you make your biggest jump. Your second season, your jump, let's go to Philip Rivers in 2007. He threw 460 passes, completed only 277 of them. So he completed, he actually completed more attempts his rookie year. I would say basically his rookie year, because he didn't really play a full season until 2006. And his completion percentage actually goes down to 60. Was a 61, and he threw for less yards. He threw 3,152 yards, and he threw 21 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, folks. 21 touchdowns. Rivers basically regressed a little bit. Let's see what Carr did in his second year. Derek Carr Second year, he threw 573 passes. So he threw the ball more. Completed 350. So he basically completed only a couple more completions. Yeah, I think last year's the attempts was actually 544, not 549. But anyways, what did he throw for? 3,987 yards. He almost threw for 4,000, basically. 32 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Completion percentage at 61. So his completion percentage was and Rivers' completion percentage was, I think, 60 or something like that. But anyways, yeah, 60. So Carr beat him in completion percentage. He completed more passes than Phillip Rivers, but he did throw more attempts. He beat him by yardage, 39 over 31. I mean, he almost beat him by 1,000 yards, folks. Derek Carr crushed Phillip Rivers in his second year. Crushed him. I mean, Rivers, 21 touchdowns and 15 picks, where Carr threw 32 TDs and only 12 interceptions. Derek Carr destroyed Phillip Rivers in their sophomore season. Now going on to the Carr MVP year when he won 12 games. But first we'll read what Rivers' stats was in 2008, in Rivers' third year. Usually that third year you want to see that big jump. Rivers had a 65% completion percentage. Out of 478 attempts, he completed 312 passes, threw for 4,009 yards, 34 TDs, 11 picks. So finally, Rivers picked up his game. He had a little sophomore slump, and he took it to the next level. That's what you want to see in a quarterback, folks. That's what you want to see. Now, what did Carr do in his? You got to remember, Carr did miss one game. He missed one game. He led his team to the playoffs, but what? He didn't play because he was hurt. Or he would have some playoff appearances, folks. He would at least had one. I believe he would have had more than one because I think we would have beat the Texans if Carr would have played. So going forward now, I want to read their stats. Carr had 560 attempts, completed 357 passes, 63% completion percentage. So Rivers had him beat by 2%. 3,937 yards. Again, Rivers had probably about 200 more yards or so, right around there, and a little under. But you gotta remember, Rivers did get to played 16 games. Carr played 15 against the Broncos. He could have threw 200 yards for all you know. I know the Broncos had a pretty good secondary, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. That definitely takes yards away and touchdowns away. He could even throw more TDs there. But his touchdown to his interception ratio is amazing. That's why he was an MVP running possibly as well. 28 touchdown passes and only 6 interceptions. Not even Rivers' his whole career has thrown. His best is 9 interceptions. He's not ever been in Carr's range of 6 picks. I mean, that's impressive. So who would I give the edge in their third year to? Rivers was 34-11. So he had 6 more TDs than Derek Carr, right? 6 more touchdowns. You got to remember, Carr didn't play his last game. Probably wouldn't have thrown 6 TDs, though. And he had 11 interceptions, where Carr only had 6. So he had 6 more touchdowns and 5 more interceptions. So I would say the TD interception ratio favors Derek Carr here. I'd rather have 28-6 than 34-11. Because a couple of those picks could be a loss, so cause you to lose a game. I'm going to give the edge here to Derek Carr. Derek Carr slightly beat him, I believe, in that season category. And he was right with him in stats and everything. Completion percentage is 2 behind. So I gave Carr just a very slight edge. Now going into the 4th season again, Derek Carr, he gets injured again, but he only misses 1 game. Let's see what Rivers did in his 4th season. Out of 486 passes, Phillip Rivers completed 317 passes, 65% completion, basically stayed the same completion percentage as last year. And he threw over 4,000 yards. It's even better in yards, 4,254 yards. This 28 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. very impressive, folks. Very impressive indeed. And Derek Carr took a step back. Derek Carr threw 515 passes, completed 323 yards, 62% completion. Again, right up there in this, maybe I think 1 point down. 3,496 yards. He had 22 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Again, Derek Carr definitely took a step back. So again, going to the first 4 seasons, I give the Rivers the edge in his first year, his 4th year, and Carr has the edge in his 2nd and 3rd season. So right now, that's like a tie right there. That's a tie right there, folks. But you know, Rivers has had 7 playoff appearances. Carr would have at least had 1, right? Carr would have at least had 1. But now that we've got that out of the way, let's go to their best season versus best season. So, let's do it, folks. Rivers' best season was probably this last season. And what did he have? He threw, out of 575 attempts, completed 360 passes, 4,515 yards, 28 touchdowns to only 10 interceptions, 62% completion. You know, well, Carr's best year, he threw 39-37 yardage with 28-6. Right? So Carr threw just as many touchdowns as Phillip Rivers, but had less picks. But Rivers had almost like 500-600 more yards passing. Again, it's a little skewed because Carr didn't play 1 game. Going into it, folks, only thing Rivers has is on Carr. It's 2 things: a better supporting cast for most of his career, and he's played longer, so he's had the opportunity to make the playoffs more. Carr's only made the playoffs once, but he didn't get to play. So we won't really know a final debate. The debate won't be over, I believe, until their career is over. Once the career is over, once they both have retired, we're going to really know who really is the better quarterback. But judging on the body of work, just judging on their first 4 seasons, you know, basically was a tie in the sense that Carr had a better season in them in seasons 2 and 3. Rivers had better seasons in seasons 1 and 4. Then I'm debating. Then I'm also going by their best seasons in their career. Rivers this last season versus Derek Carr in the year before last season, in his MVP type year, where Carr has him beat. Why? Because I go by the interception ratio, folks. He threw the same amount of touchdowns, played 1 less game than Rivers, and threw 4 less interceptions. I mean, that's good, folks. That is excellent. So, as of right now, I'm going to give the slight edge to Derek Carr as the better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. I guarantee you, folks, Phillip Rivers would not have led the Raiders to more playoffs by now. He would not have made the playoffs in his rookie year with the weak line that the Raiders had and the poor supporting cast they had. Seasons 2 and 3, 3 would have made the playoffs 2. Again, you know, it's up for debate. Raiders they had a lot of close games in season 2, but then season 3 we won those close games. And we had Jack Del Rio's first year was in that season 2. So, you know, just a thing to throw out there. But as of right now, I'm giving the edge to Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a slightly better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. Because I would say they're even in their first full seasons. But then Carr's best season versus Rivers' best season, Carr had a very slight edge. Okay? For people who are going to say Rivers is better, they're just going to go up because Rivers has played a lot longer and he's got much more playoff appearances. But his playoff appearances, he's 3 and 4. I mean, you really want to look at the playoff appearances? You want to bring that judgment into account? Let's look at him, folks. He's 3 and 4 in the playoffs. His game 1 was versus the Patriots. 14 of 32 he completed out of. He lost 24-21. He threw for 230 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Can't turn it over in the playoffs, folks. Game 2, he beat the Titans 17-6. Completed 19 out of 30 passes, 292 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Basically an average game. Game 3 versus Colts, 14 of 19, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's pretty good. Which, you know, which they won. I forgot to put the score, I think, down there. But anyways, they won that game. Then game 4 versus Patriots, they lost 12-21, 19 out of 37, not very good. 211 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. If you're going to beat the Patriots, you got to bring your A game. Rivers did not bring his A game, clearly. Game 5, they beat the Colts 23-17. So he's pretty good against the Colts. He's 2-0 in the playoffs against them. 20 out of 36, 217 yards, no TDs, 1 pick. Basically kind of got lucky in that game. He didn't really play that great. Then they lost against Pittsburgh, which I thought he played pretty good. Lost 35-24, but he was 21 out of 35, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. And then his last game in the playoffs was against the Jets. Lost 17-14. Close games. 27 of 40, 298 yards, and an interception. So that's basically his playoff appearances. Overall, it's okay. Maybe above average at best. But come on, folks. Really? I think you're better than that. You know. But then again, I don't know. But really, Carr hasn't had a chance to play in the playoffs because his team was rebuilding. The Raiders were a laughingstock for a long time. The Raiders finally have a decent supporting cast. Now this year, going into this year, folks, Derek Carr's got Marshawn Lynch in his second year with the Raiders, which he's now more in football shape. Because last year, you know, he had, you know, was retired from before that. And, you know, we also bring in Doug Martin. We have Martavis Bryant, Jordy Nelson, and Amari Cooper. Jared Cook at tight end. Chargers, they lost their tight end, but they have, you know, Keenan Allen. They have Tyrell, I think, Williams or whatever. Mike Williams. Melvin Gordon at running back. Both teams have good lines. I would say the Raiders have a better line, though. So this year, we're going to find out. And Derek Carr finally's got a good offensive coordinator. He's got an offensive-minded head coach in John Gruden. He gets his Greg Olson coach back from his rookie year. A little familiarity there. And Carr has a better supporting cast this year. So Carr, I'm expecting Carr to basically match the numbers he did in his MVP year and do maybe even go better. I think do better because he's got his supporting cast is even better. I expect better stats. I expect Derek Carr to throw at least 30 touchdowns and maybe around 6-7 picks. That's what I want to see in Derek Carr. At the most, maybe 10 interceptions and maybe up in the 35 to 40 range then of touchdowns. But anyways, as of right now, Rivers has more experience. He's been to the playoffs. That's why a lot of people probably want to give the edge to Phillip Rivers. But Rivers has played, I mean, out of 14 years, he played 12 seasons, right? He's played more than half of Carr's career. Carr's only played in 4 years, folks. And he basically started on a team like, it would be like going to the Browns like last year, having to really work your way up, you know, and build that team. Rivers went to a Super Bowl contending team, a very playoff serious contender. Carr went to a rebuilding franchise, trying to find itself. So, you know, again, you got to put those things into consideration. And once all said and done, just going by the very first four years, and then Carr's best year versus Rivers' best year, just going by that, I think Derek Carr is slightly, just by a slight, just by a hair, is better than Phillip Rivers. Before that, I was just thinking like Phillip Rivers is better, maybe a little better because he's been in playoffs more or whatever. But, you know, I'm not going to buy into that because sometimes, you know, guys are on better teams. And plus, you know, it's not like Rivers made the playoffs in all of his first 4 years. He actually, first three years he made it, whatever. But anyways, actually he did, I think, made it 3 or 4 years, and then he didn't make playoffs again until 2013. But anyways, he did have the better supporting cast at the beginning where Carr didn't. Carr's supporting cast got a little bit better in his second year, and then third year was, I would say, pretty solid. And then last year, just, you know, we regressed. But anyways, I think Carr is, like, Rivers regressed in his second year, and Carr regressed last season. You know, that's basically it. But I think Carr is just slightly the better quarterback, hands down. But we won't know a final debate on who really is better. We'll know a final debate. This is just the debate right now, going by the body of work. I had to be realistic and go by first 4 seasons against each other and the best season against each other. And then on top of that, folks, we won't know the full body of work until both quarterbacks have finished their career. Once they finish their career, we'll really know who the better quarterback truly is. But in the AFC West, folks, I would say Rivers is the most seasoned quarterback and most experienced quarterback. So that's why a lot of people want to give the edge to the Chargers, right? He's being exposed to more. But Carr is, I would say, the better athlete than Philip Rivers, better quarterback. Rivers has just got more experience on him. So, as far as I'm concerned, the AFC West, there's 2 great quarterbacks in that division. Derek Carr and Philip Rivers are both good quarterbacks. You know, are they great? Well, for Carr to become great, he needs to start going to the playoffs consistently, making the playoffs, bringing his team there, carrying his team on his back, getting in there. And I expect him to do it this year. And I expect Philip Rivers to bring his team back to the playoffs. He's got a pretty good supporting cast as well. And I expect both teams to make the playoffs this year. One will win the division, one will win the wild card. And we'll see who really is the better team. You know, we'll see what happens. But right now, I think Derek Carr has a slight edge. Stat-wise, he's better than Philip Rivers, going by just their first 4 years and their best year against best year. But Rivers has the edge, and he's been to more playoff appearances, and he's played longer. It's not Carr's fault. He just, you know, came in later. So, again, I hope you enjoyed the debate. The debate will continue going into this season, and, you know, the debate won't be finalized until their careers are over. But look at the stats, folks. I think Derek Carr's better. What say you?